Hey, this is Michael from Clutter Stuff, and today I'm actually doing a tag video um, showing off my Secret Wars collection. Now, some of you may know, if you watch my Comic Vault a lot, I've been collecting uh, not just the recent Secret Wars collection, but a lot of the tie-ins from, back in the 80s, from the original Secret Wars series. But I'm not going to go into all that. This video right now is just about the 2015 series of Secret Wars. And basically, I was tagged, like anyone else who watched this video, by Jesse from the JLS Comics video channel. And I've seen a couple of other people that I subscribe to have gone ahead and done this, so I wanted to participate too. Just because I do like the Secret Wars so much. I really enjoyed this current run to a point now where I'm actually going back and getting a lot of Jonathan Hickman's earlier work as well. I'm wearing my Marvel Collector Corps Secret Wars t-shirt, and I've got the box here to help me display my collection. So I'm going to start, and the link for Jesse's video, the original tag video, is down in the description. So I'm going to start with the previews. I've got, this was the first previews issue for Secret Wars, and there were a few that had Secret Wars on the cover. I'm not positive if these are all of them. These two are the free Marvel previews, and this one cost $1.25 or free with the purchase of Diamond previews. I didn't buy Diamond previews because I didn't want that big, thick book. I just got the $1.25 version. So I don't have any of the other previews. If there were any others with Secret Wars on the cover or with previews of Secret Wars inside, just have these three. So then the Secret Wars story started with issue 0, which was a free comic book day issue from last year, 2015. And then continued on with number 1. And this is the regular cover for number 1. I also, I didn't actually go out and buy any of the variant covers for issue 1, but that month or so they had various variant covers were included in some of the subscription boxes that I get. So I got this one. Is a Dynamic Forces exclusive cover, a specially limited series of 15,000 copies. It has the certificate of authenticity in there. I think this one came from Comic-Con box, but I'm not 100% positive. So there's one variant for number 1. This is another variant for Secret Wars number 1. This is the Comic-Con box variant for number 1. And this is the Marvel Collector Corps variant for number 1. The box can barely hold up under the weight of all these variant covers. I would have to say that Secret Wars number 1 was probably the comic book with the most number of variant covers I've ever seen in my life. I would be shocked if it wasn't some kind of record. So then, I actually did not pick up my local comic shop at the time was sold out of the regular cover for Secret Wars number 2. So I picked up a variant cover, which is pretty decent. This one has, let's see, I can't identify the cover artist, but it has the Thors on the front cover. And I actually thought that I had picked up a regular number 2 just the other day, and then I realized this is actually the third printing of number 2. So this is kind of another variant cover to a degree. It's the third printing of the book. So that's one I guess I'll probably never get unless I buy it in the secondary market. As a back issue at some point. Secret Wars number 3 and number 4, both regular covers. I didn't go for any of the variants for these. Generally speaking, unless a variant is really awesome, I tend to stick with the regulars. Um, just because I don't really have a reason for it. I like to have the regular and maybe have a variant in addition to. One thing I did like about the Secret Wars, and this has kind of continued with a lot of the other series, and even been expanded into um, some other companies are even doing it now, are the action figure variants, and I really liked those, but I didn't buy any of them. They were just a little bit too expensive for my taste, and that's the main reason that I don't collect the variant covers. Is that a lot of them are, even brand new off the shelf are are marked up at some shops. Some shops you can get them for the regular cover price, and when that happens, I might take a look at some of them. But I'm not going to pay $8 for a $4 comic book just because the cover looks different. It just doesn't make sense to me. The story's the same, and $4 is enough for a single issue, in my opinion, anyway. Um, in most cases. So here's number 5. That was my little mini rant on variant covers. But number 5 and number 6. Number 7 and number 8. And number 9, the conclusion. Now remember, this actually started out as an 8-part miniseries that they then expanded into a 9-part miniseries somewhere around issue 6 or 7. They decided they really needed 9 issues to finish the story. So, and then this is the official guide. What is it called? The official guide to the Marvel Multiverse Secret Wars. It is basically like one of the old official handbooks to the Marvel Universe. It has kind of the dossier type information on various characters from Secret Wars. So I really loved the Secret Wars storyline. If you read the original 80s, you know that Doctor Doom had stolen the Beyonder's power back in 1984. I love the fact that this is kind of the same thing. It also, to a certain extent, kind of became like a Crisis on Infinite Earths almost, in the sense of wiping out all of these kind of alternative universes in this multiverse that had kind of been built up over the years. One thing, I can't remember where I saw this in, but I seem to remember reading a recent issue where it was mentioned that there were duplicates of some people in the current Marvel Universe, the all different Marvel Universe, where there were more than one copy of some people, and that this was going to cause a problem. And I'm a bit curious to see how what they're going to do to resolve that. I'm sure that this is something that is done on purpose. Something's going to come out of it. So let me put these away. I'm going to go through the different tie-ins as well. So let me just grab a stack here. I didn't get every tie-in series for a few reasons. Number one, I've just never, and this goes all the way back to when I was a kid, never been a huge fan of X-Men. I love the X-Men movies, but as far as comic books are concerned, I just was never really that big of a fan. So I never have been, and so I didn't really collect any of the X-Men. Generally speaking, didn't collect any of the X-Men series. There is an exception or two, I think, here, but we'll talk about that in just a second. So here we have Secret Wars Battle World. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I believe this is every issue. I liked it. It was a good series. Battle World was kind of an anthology series. Each issue has 3 or 4 kind of mini stories in it with various characters from various parts of the of Battle World, and in many cases these are different versions of characters that appear in multiple different stories. Different Secret Wars tie-ins. So it's kind of interesting how it went, and I believe that none of these are all main covers. None of these are variants. As far as I can, yeah, none of these are variant covers. I really liked Battle World. If you want kind of a sampling of just some of the weirdness, this is a great example. Some of these stories are just plain weird. And I'm doing these kind of in alphabetical order, just because that's how I store them. So we have A-Force, #1. I really liked this series. We have #1, #2, #3. Sorry about the glare you're getting on some of these. Let me see if I can maybe make it a little bit less. #3, #4, and the last issue, #5. I really liked this series. I think any chance of having superheroes, female superheroes that are not, these crazy, I wouldn't even say idealized, just over-sexualized heroes that you would see, and I hate to call anybody out, but like, say, mid-90s Image Comics, or really mid to late 90s anywhere. Just they're just good superheroes that happen to be women. A-Force is one of the few series, there are a couple, but it's one of the few series that actually continued as a main title in All New, All Different Marvel, and I've been collecting that as well. The second issue just came out recently, last week maybe. I just picked it up last week. So another tie-in, and I really like this, is Age of Ultron versus Marvel Zombies. Okay, so issue 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the crux of the story is that there are 2 regions, one that is controlled by Age of Ultron. It's all a bunch of just Ultron, clones, robots, whatever you want to call them. There's one section of Battle World that's controlled by them. There's another section of Battle World that is controlled by the Marvel Zombies. And in this series, they decide to team up and take out this other kind of paradise city that happens to live near those areas. And it gets defended by in a early version, like a 1920s era, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm aging that correctly, like a 1920s or 1930s era of Hank Pym, Wonder Man, the original Human Torch, and the Vision, which is interesting if you know about the origin of the Vision, because the Vision in the comics was created by Ultron, who was himself created by Hank Pym, and he was made out of the original origin, at least, was that he was made out of the body of the original Human Torch and infused with the mind of Wonder Man, or a copy of the mind of Wonder Man. It's weird. It's just this is a really cool, really different kind of story. So I would definitely recommend checking this out. I love it because I'm a huge fan of the Vision, always have been. And quite frankly, I was a big fan of the West Coast Avengers, and that's where a lot of this came out. Hank Pym was a member of West Coast Avengers. The original Human Torch was discovered and brought back to life by the West Coast Avengers, and Wonder Man was a member of the West Coast Avengers. So, it all really tied in with, and a lot of character development in terms of Vision took place in that series, in addition to the main Avengers series. You'll notice that I do often talk about West Coast Avengers in my haul videos as well. Let me pull out another stack here. I'm getting kind of low. Alright. I did go a little bit crazy. So, the next series I picked up was Captain Britain and the Mighty Defenders, #1 and #2. This was just a 2-issue mini-series. Not really any... I mean, there's a couple of characters that are very close to Marvel characters, or are kind of alternate versions of Marvel characters. It was a great little story. That's all I can say. It's only 2 issues. You could probably still find it pretty cheap, and I definitely would recommend it. It's a good series. Okay, we have Civil War, #1, and I have a couple variants of these that came in subscription boxes. So this is the Comic-Con box variant cover of Civil War. This is the Geek Fuel variant cover of Civil War, #1. And this comes with a Geek Fuel certificate of authenticity as well. So I was happy with these. This is another good series. Here we have issue 2, issue 3, issue 4, and issue 5. It's a great series. It basically is almost as if, the best way to say it would be, what would happen if the Civil War between Captain America and Iron Man continued and took over the whole world. There are basically, this area is divided into this zone is divided into 2 separate areas. One called the Blue, which is ruled by Captain America and his allies, and the other called the Iron, I think, if I'm not mistaken, ruled by Tony Stark and his allies. And it basically they're fighting, and it's got a couple of little twists there in the end. It's really a good series. So I'm not going to spoil the twists for you in case you haven't read it yet, but I would definitely recommend picking up this series. Most of these Secret Wars tie-in series are starting to become available in trade paperback as well. So if you can't find the originals for fairly cheap, the trades are just as good. And now we have Deadpool Secret Wars, which I love it because, oh my goodness. I mean, how could you not? It's Deadpool, and of course Deadpool has to do something off the wall. And what this is it's not a tie-in with the 2015 Secret Wars. It's a tie-in, kind of a retcon of the 1984 Marvel Superhero Secret Wars. Because why not? And so, one of the things I really enjoyed, and I'll go ahead and spoil this one. Here's #1, #2, #3, and #4. And the spoil is #3. They actually retcon the origin of Venom, and going back to when it was just Spider-Man's black costume. Apparently, the symbiote bonded with Deadpool before it bonded with Spidey. And it was bonding with Deadpool that made it go insane, which is why he eventually turned into Venom. Kind of off the wall, but I just love it. It's again, this is it's great. It goes back to the original Marvel superhero Secret Wars, which was I was a huge fan in 1984. I'm a huge fan today. So I don't care what anyone says about it being basically a way to sell action figures. That's fine because I was maybe 10. No, let's see. If it was 1984, I was 7, 8 years old when it came out. I was into action figures. I had half the Marvel superheroes Secret Wars action figures. They had their little shields that were kind of like what do you call them? Lenticular, where you hold it one way and it has one picture, and you turn it and it has another picture. They were great. I love them. So now we've got Future Imperfect, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5. Another great series. It takes place in what is it? Is it called the Green World or Greenland maybe? But it's a land ruled by the Maestro, and basically the Maestro and several other folks, including I want to say it's an alternate version of the Thing. But basically, Maestro decides he wants to overthrow God Doom, and they go looking for this ultimate weapon to that he believes will help him accomplish this. So check that out if you're a fan of the Hulk or a fan of Maestro. I love the Maestro. I think that's exactly who the Hulk would become in the future. And if Banner was out of the picture, I should say, even to a certain extent, Dot Green is kind of you kind of can see some of the personality traits that would lead him to become the Maestro. Him trying to cure all of the gamma-powered folks. So that's a pretty good series. I picked this up, Guardians of Nowhere. Got number 1, 2. Wait a minute, no? Did I miss one? Hang on here. I'm not sure what I did. I must have not picked up number 1, or it lost it somewhere. Anyway, that might be why it doesn't make so much sense. I don't know. I'm teasing. It makes sense. So number 2, number 3, and number 4. I am not sure where my copy of number 1 is. I'm going to have to go look for that. I'm almost positive that I picked it up. If I didn't, I'll have to find it. I'll pick it up next time I go to the comic shop. So honestly, I'll tell you the truth that it has the Guardians of the Galaxy in it, but beyond that, the series itself doesn't really stand out much. There's really not a whole lot to it that I can remember that really sticks out in my mind. And this was one of the later series, so the fact that I can't really remember it should tell you something. It's not real memorable. I don't know. Okay, so House of M. I've got number 1. I got the blank cover. This is one that I kind of, where I look at it with these blank covers is I've got one of two options. Just to show you, the actual original cover is in there. And then this is kind of almost like a dust jacket or a book cover or something like that protects the original cover. Although it's not cover quality, it's a cover image. And obviously this is mostly intended for sketches and that sort of thing. So I hopefully at some point we'll be able to get someone to make a sketch for some of these white covers that I have. I don't have a whole lot of them, but anyway. So I like this, House of M. It is, there's number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. And it is basically kind of the mutants ruling over the non-mutants Magneto is king, which means Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch are the prince and princess, and then they have children who are also royal blood, and basically the non-mutants rise up against Magneto with the help of some guest stars. I won't go into it. Won't spoil the plot for you, but I like the story. It definitely. I wouldn't. I liked it. I did like the story. I've always kind of liked Magneto, and so yeah, it's a good solid tie-in. None of these. I won't say. I'll say that most of the series aren't necessarily what I would call groundbreaking series, but I enjoyed them, and that's the number one most important thing in my mind when it comes to collecting comic books. So, grab the last back here. All right. Now I will say that I really did enjoy this series a lot. Korvac Saga, number 1, 2, 3, and 4. This series was really cool. I really liked it. What I saw here was that this series, more so than many of the others, actually kind of tied in a little bit better with what was going on in the main series and kind of overall. And I like that aspect of it. Basically, people were going crazy here in this series. There were certain characters were kind of going crazy, kind of losing their minds, and they were realizing that the world they were living in isn't the world as it was supposed to be. That this isn't the real world. This is something different. Doom is not God, and they were realizing this, and it's all about this conflict that was going on when various characters were kind of figuring that out, and kind of going crazy, so to speak, and figuring that out. Really liked it a lot. I really like this a lot, and it's kind of a mix of Guardians of the Galaxy and Avengers in it. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Okay, Marvel Zombies. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another good series. It's basically kind of a one or two characters kind of walking around being chased by Marvel zombies throughout this zone that is controlled by those zombies. So that being what it is, yeah, it was enjoyable. It was really enjoyable. There were a lot of zombies in it, and it was. It definitely was not my favorite of the tie-ins, but I enjoyed it, as I keep saying over and over again. I liked reading it. There were definitely some funny parts. The Deadpool as a zombie was pretty awesome. And as a non-zombie, I think there's a Deadpool as a non-zombie in the book as well. Okay, this is the only X-Men related title I picked up. I got Old Man Logan number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Another good one. In this one, Logan kind of roams through several different zones, including landing in one with a alternate version of the X-Men, where Logan did not kill the X-Men, and he actually had a son. But Logan himself in that world was dead, but Logan's son survived and was with the X-Men. So it was good. There are a few twists and turns I'm not going to get into. I don't want to take away too much from enjoyment. But it was a good series. It was a decent series. Again, I'm not a huge fan of of the X-Men and the mutants and all of that kind of stuff. But that was a good book. I'm glad. I don't regret picking that one up. Here's one I really liked: Plant Hulk, number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is another good one, and I've got there's really only a couple words that I have to use to describe this. It's a medieval version of Captain America riding on Devil Dinosaur in a land where everyone is the Hulk. That's all I gotta say. If that sounds interesting to you, then you will love this title, and I love it. So I'm trying to hurry up. Sorry, I warned you. I picked up a lot of Secret Wars tie-ins, so hopefully Jess appreciates this video, and hopefully some of the rest of you appreciate this video as well. Okay, Squadron Sinister, number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. It's pretty good. I like the Squadron Supreme. I'll tell you, I love what they're doing with the Squadron Supreme in the all different Marvel series. And Squadron Sinister here is an alternate version of them. This is kind of it's a little bit of intrigue, a little bit of infighting, within the ranks of Squadron Sinister. It's a good series, good little mini series. So I would definitely include this in the recommend pile. If you are familiar with Squadron Sinister and Squadron Supreme, there are multiple versions. So check it out. Ultimate End, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5. This was really cool. I really liked this. It was basically the normal 616 Marvel Universe and the Ultimate Universe, Earth 1610, together in the same place at the same time, trying to figure out what's happening, what's going on, and how do we fix the problem. So, I mean, that's basically it. I would say that this, more than any of the other series, would be a direct companion with the main title, with the main Secret Wars title. So definitely take a look. Big fan of Ultimate End. So much so that I accidentally bought 2 copies of one of the issues. So because I wanted to be sure that I hadn't missed an issue, so I just grabbed one, and it turned out to be one that I already had. So we've got Weird World. That is a tongue twister for me. I have no idea why. Weird World number 1, number 2, and number 3. I believe there's one more issue that I didn't get. This one, I don't really know how to describe this. This is a lot of the, if you think back to Marvel in the 70s, you had a lot of sword and sorcery type comics. Things like Crystar and Conan and what's his name, Call the Conqueror. And just these kind of, and that's what Weird World is. It's a lot of these kind of sword and sorcery comics. I personally, I'm not a big fan, but this was a good series. I've seen some people have included this as number 1, their favorite of the Secret Wars tie-ins. I wouldn't go that far. I think it is a good series, though. for sake of completeness, I think I need to go grab that last issue. Um, but yeah, I mean, I definitely liked it. It was out of my wheelhouse, a little bit different from things that I normally collect, but I liked it. It was pretty good. Um, and that's kind of the thing with the Secret Wars is there was something in here for everyone. I only pick up all of these various tie-in series that I've been showing. This is only like half of the tie-in series. There were so many of them. No one could get all of them, I don't think, unless they had a lot of expendable income. So anyway, came out a couple months ago, maybe 2 months ago, and it's called Secret Wars 2, also. And it's basically humor. It's a parody of Secret Wars that Marvel did. One of the stories is about Jonathan Hickman not knowing how, after having this whole, multi-year build-up into Secret Wars, he didn't know how to end it. He didn't have an ending to his story. And that's why some of the issues were delayed and why they tacked on a number 9 onto the originally 8 issue limited series. So it's funny, it's poking fun at itself, and I appreciate anytime anyone shows that they don't take themselves too seriously, and Marvel Comics is not above making fun of itself, going all the way back to the 60s and 70s with Not Brand Echh, the 80s and 90s with What the, and I'm glad to see that they continue to make fun of themselves. So that was my Secret Wars collection. Jesse, I thank you for bringing this up. This is probably the longest video I will ever do in the history of my channel. And unfortunately, I don't think there's anything that I can do to make it shorter. So, anyone who actually stuck around and watched the whole thing, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Please like, comment, subscribe to see more videos about comic books, subscription boxes, toys, sci-fi, movies, anything else we just decide to talk about. So thanks a lot, everyone, and see you next time. Bye.